Islam,
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 Islamism.
Islamism. Welcome to the Moorish Sense channel. The Moorish Sense channel is geared and connected to bringing more insight and more life and more insight as it pertains to Moorish science. I'm your host, Brother Brendan Jordan Ill, Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And back on the platform, we have our co-host.
Brother Valines Bay,
Welcome
Sheik
back.
of the Moorish Sons Temple of America.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Praise Allah. Glad to be back.
I told everyone last week, you
Man,
were under the weather, and I had whatever I had going on earlier this week. So,
yeah, it's going
praise
around.
Allah, man. Praise
Yeah,
Allah.
praise Allah.
Praise Allah. If this is your first time tuning into the Moorish Sense channel, welcome to the Moorish Sense channel. We thank you and welcome you uh, as we get into this segment this evening. We have a really good segment tonight. But as we always start our show and program off, we're going to begin our program with the Moorish American prayer. Sheik, you want to lead?
Islam,
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 Islam.
Islam.
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
the Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation
and my salvation
by night
by night
and by day
and by day
through his holy prophet,
through his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islamism.
Islamism. Praise
Praise
Allah,
Allah.
praise Allah, praise Allah. I want to rise my thoughts and give praises to Allah, the Father of the universe. He's the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I want to also give honors to our beloved Prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, founded in 1913 AD. I also want to give honors to the Prophet's forerunner, Brother Marcus Mosiah Aurelius Garvey. I also want to extend a special honors to Brother Prophet. I also want to extend honors to the Supreme Grand Resurrection, Grand Sheik Timothy G. Ding Lil, hyphenated Noble Drali in his time, as well as our officials, our Supreme Grand Sheik and Supreme Grand Sheik is Pray to Ill, as well as our national officials and all of the Moorish Americans who are tuned in, as well as our sympathizers, well wishers, etc. Even those who are tuning in to see what the topic is about. Welcome. I also want to extend honors to my wife. I want to extend honors to my
Praise
wife. I
Allah.
want to extend honors to my children. I want to extend honors to all the members, the faithful few, the ones who are keeping the doors of the Moorish Science Temple of America open across this country, this United States of America. Islam,
Islamism.
Islam, Sheikh. Go ahead.
Yeah, I praise the Almighty God Allah, raising my thoughts above the lust, the fuss, the dust, the merely carnal ideas of man, to my Father and your Father, whom I choose to call Allah. I give honors to my beautiful wife, my 8 children,
That's right.
and all the wonderful works that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali has brought unto us, and for all those who have kept and are keeping the doors of the Moorish Science Temple of America open down to this current administration. Uh, of course, well wishers, sympathizers, those who know, those who think they know, uh, and all those who may not wish us as well as they would.
That's
I give them high honor. Islam,
Islam. And I'm glad you
Islam.
said that, Mo. I'm glad you said that. So, again, welcome to the Moorish Sense channel. I know I said it about 3 times, man. Related with this topic that we're going to be covering. Last week, I did my best to hold it down. The topic that we covered last week was we measure time by cycle ages.
Uh,
And did you want to just expound a little bit on that, Sheik? I know with
um.
weather.
Well, it's just like with anything in life. A cycle. It's a cycle. Um. Just and if you look at your life before you came into the Moorish Science Temple of America, when you were in grade school, you didn't start out in the 12th grade. You started out in, if you will, pre-K or even you went to a daycare, and then after daycare, you graduated and went to pre-K and first grade. These are cycles. So it's the same thing. Not only coming into the Moorish Science Temple of America, but when you grow.
That's right.
Um, Growth and development is what it's all about. And when you look at know thyself and our Father God Allah, right? So that people say it all the time, know thyself, know thyself. Like it's a cliche, but they don't really understand all that it entails. And those it's just I ain't gonna say it's just a statement, but it is a statement that encompasses so much more than meets the eye. And it's something that, and I'm not even gonna say a conflict, but it's something that just can't, it can be talked about, but more or less it has to be lived in order for you to come into the awareness of what that really means. And what I'm saying, it doesn't come with outward show.
That's right.
So you know, that's all I have to say on it. Of course we could go on and on, but yeah, that's all I really have to say about that.
Praise Allah. And you
Praise Allah.
said it very well. All right. So, of course, as always, I want to just draw our attention to the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I'm going to pull it up for
Hmm.
those who aren't familiar. This is the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You see it on the screen in front of us. It's affectionately known as the Circle Seven. It's divinely prepared by the noble prophet Drew Ali, by the guidance of his father God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from the sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father God Allah. And
Oh, oh,
go
oh!
ahead,
I need to address something.
go ahead.
Um, you got a lot of different uh people who are saying that they're scholars and things of this nature, right?
Hmm.
Um, they read, they might get, because now this is the information age, so you have a lot of the newspaper articles that are readily available to people who go and might pay a fee or whatever the case may be, and they get a newspaper article and they read it and they think that they found an aha moment without actually speaking to um, an active member of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Right,
And also, you have those active members of the Moorish Science Temple of America who haven't really done their due diligence um, as far as research is concerned. So there's this man named Hamid Suleiman who founded the Canaanite Temple.
okay.
He was around during the time of the prophet, but the prophet did not get inspiration from this particular man.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's right.
Um, Reason being is because when you look at the incorporation papers, um, and you look at our 101s, it asks what year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? It was founded in 1913. So when you understand what that question and that answer is really saying, and then you go and do the research on the Canaanite Temple. The Canaanite Temple didn't come into existence till 1924.
Four. Right.
When you look at the incorporation papers, so that is 11 years late for the Prophet Noble Drew Ali to get any inspiration from.
Right.
And even though there was an individual who um, I don't know how they met. I don't know. I don't think it was a personal meeting, but
Hmm.
I do know that there was a meeting with several different members of just various different organizations with this man, and one specifically that was at that meeting was Deuce Muhammad Ali.
Right.
And they try to, without understanding the total and complete history of Deuce Muhammad Ali, they try to make it seem like Deuce Muhammad Ali gained his inspiration from this man by the name of Suleiman Hamid, or
Right.
which is simply not true because we know and understand that Deuce Muhammad Ali came from Egypt and went to London
That's
and
right.
was had a newspaper called the African Times and the Orient Review,
Document right here.
uh, and he was fighting against colonialism.
That's right.
And we know and understand that in this part of the world, um, the remnants of colonialism rears its head in many different aspects of the culture that exists here in America.
That's true.
So um, it's much deeper than just looking at a newspaper article, whether it comes from the Moorish Science Temple of America, whether it comes from another newspaper, um, and thinking that you have an aha moment to say that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali got inspiration from this particular individual, right?
Hmm.
So I wanted to address that also to address um, people don't understand that the various books that they try to say that this record comes from, um,
It is.
which is the Aquarian Gospel
Yeah.
and
Um,
Unto Thee I Grant.
right.
What people have to understand is that our ancient ancestors, before there was any such thing as the United States copyright, our ancestors had all of those teachings, and the European nations are the ones who say they burnt the books, but in all actuality, I don't believe that they burnt any of the books. I think they burnt something, but it wasn't our teachings or our records.
I
And
agree.
as a result of that, they started putting it in writing, and then they come up with the copyright office, and then they started copywriting and saying that they founded these particular things. And because of European psychology, people who study Afrocentrism or Pan Africanism and various other things, they don't understand that a lot of those books that these Europeans claim to have written actually comes from our ancient civilizations. So just to address that, they take a Eurocentric standpoint and not understanding that they're doing so to try to give an aha moment and disprove or discredit um, the Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali, and the various things that he has brought unto us. So yeah, just a tad bit. We
That's
could
an
go
excellent.
on and on about that
That's, a,
subject, but
that's an excellent point, Sheik, and I'm glad
yeah.
you segued into that because I think one thing that we can cover, well, I would say, we're going to cover is contextualized reading, reading in
Uh-huh.
context. I know it's something that we've gone over in our Sunday schools. I know that you constantly drilled it in us when you were the Sunday school instructor
Mhm.
at our temple, as well as it's something that I kind of brought out. But I think that you know, that topic in itself is something that we
Mhm.
can bring out and make it applicable to the topic. I mean, to what you're actually stating right now. The
Mhm.
fact that a lot of people, for whatever reason, when they get a document, and we're going to get into the topic at hand in a minute, but when they get a document and things of that nature, they don't really deep delve into the context in which the information of the document is being presented. Uh,
Correct.
but that was a great point. That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
So
Praise the law.
praise Allah. So getting into the topic tonight, as we discussed before, is a quote from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and it's coming specifically from chapter 12. And I'm going to just read a few verses of chapter 12 just to give our viewers and listening audience a little bit of context as to where we're drawing from. And expand it just a little bit larger. So we're off the screen right now. So it's chapter 12, and the reading of this chapter is the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet, chapter 12. Jesus teaches the common people at a spring, tells them how to obtain eternal happiness. Now, as I mentioned before last week, we can look at the teachings of the prophet, as the Sheikh just mentioned. You have to look at it from various different points of view because the prophet isn't just teaching in a linear way, right?
Mhm.
But we look at our teachings as being esoteric as well as esoteric teachings. So I'm just going to read a few verses, Sheik, and then we can
Yeah.
get into
Yeah.
it. So it says, chapter 12, Jesus teaches the people at a common spring, tells them how to obtain eternal happiness. Verse 1. In silent meditation, Jesus sat beside a flowing spring. It was a holy day, and many people of the serving caste were near the place. And Jesus saw the hard drawn lines of toil on every brow and every hand. There was no look of joy in any face. Not one of all the group could think of anything but toil. And Jesus spoke to one and said, "Why are you all so sad? Have you no happiness in life?" The man replied, "We scarcely know the meaning of that word. We toil to live and hope for nothing else but toil, and blessed today we can cease our toil and lay down to rest in Buddha, city of the dead." And Jesus' heart was stirred with pity and with love for these poor toilers. And he said, "Toil should not make a person sad. Men should be happiest when they toil. When hope and life and love, are back of toil, then all of life is filled with joy and peace. And this is heaven. Do you not do you not know voice cracking, voice, my apologies. Do you not know that such a heaven is for you?" The man replied, "Of heaven we have heard, but when it is so far away, we must live so many lives before we reach that place." And Jesus said, "My brother man, your thoughts are wrong. Your heaven is not far away. It is not a place of meets and bounds. It is not a country to be reached. It is a state of mind. Allah never made a heaven for man. He never made a hell. We are creators and make our own." Islam.
Islam.
Now, with that being said, there's something else I want to read briefly. And some people may be able to follow the trend of thought. And if you're unable to follow the trend of thought, just go back and listen to what I'm about to read. Because last week, when we went over, and I say we because the sheep was with me, even though you didn't see him, he still was, I say he was still with me.
Mm-hmm.
We made mention of the fact that in chapter 1 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Prophet Noble Drew teaches us that man is not the body nor the soul, but he is the spirit and a part of Allah. And in that, I also made mention that the fact that this physical body and form is but a vehicle. And when you're dealing with the soul is where remembrance is housed. So here, I'm just going to read this briefly. It says this: "We were created billions of years ago, and we will concede that we have sinned." And sin just means, as you often say, Sheik, self-inflicted nonsense,
Mm-hmm.
errors that we have to learn over many times. Then why are we not in hell right now? There is no hell. We have reaped everything we sowed. We may be sure of it. You were and you will be known just as you are. Your spirit has traveled both long and far. It came from the source, to the source it returns. The spark that was kindled eternally burns. And it says this: "Your body is as a garment to that of the spirit and soul while on this earth plane. The soul is the vehicle that remembers and carries over past lives of memories of existence to this present time. The soul is the book of life, in which in it recorded all past deeds, whether good or bad, and which forms of our present stock of character. This book of life, known as the soul, which we use to begin the new lifespan one day in the school of experience." So when you look at the school of experience, think about, and again, esoteric and exoterically. When you come into grade school, you start where? In kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere I read that Allah put man in the garden. And when we talk about the garden, we talk about the garden furthest east. So in the garden I'm making reference to is the Garden of Eden. So it says, "This book of life we begin a new lifespan one day in the school of experience. Each individual soul is the heir of all the ages in its historical background from which our mentality has evolved. It is the logical result of all past experiences." So when you read in chapter 1 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, remember, the Prophet Noble Drew states that wisdom speaks from the highest plane of spirit life. And when you're dealing with wisdom, wisdom is the only memory of past experience. The soul is the connecting link of the chain of life events throughout our lifetime. And our lifetime is a cycle, just like we see on the front of our Holy Quran. Because the soul itself, it lives after this physical form is dropped and is continuous. We call one lifetime is only one day in the school of experience, and it goes throughout eternity. And I just wanted to say that. So when we're dealing with the soul, ultimately, brothers and sisters, those who are tuning in, the soul is a record of our unfoldment, and it also is a telltale sign of our evolution. When I talk about evolution, I'm not talking about monkeys to humans and nothing of that nature. I'm talking about evolution and the fact of our unfoldment and the progress. Just
Yeah, that's a great point.
praise Allah.
Because people, once again, they take um I mean, they read, you know, I mean, let's talk about it. They read Dr. Ben. They'll read Sheikh Anta Diop.
That's right.
These are all the books, you know, when I was coming up, these are all the things that um I would read and I have in my library, right?
Islam.
They man, I mean Gerald Massey, uh I mean Godfrey Higgins, Anacalypsis, the 2 volume book. I mean the list can go, you know, can go on. Great books now, right?
That's right.
But what people they don't do is really, and what I think, you know, our teachers um for setting our minds aright and getting us to understand what know thyself truly means,
That's
right?
right.
Um because you going, once you get further through this chapter, you gonna hit on a verse. And I'm a fan of hip hop, right? And matter of fact, um check out my wife, right? She's on Apple Music, Amazon Music,
That's right.
iHeartRadio,
That's right.
Boomplay Music, right? And she has, I mean, several songs, and it only attributes, not, her talent is raw talent, right?
Islam. I bear
But
witness.
also it proves, shows and proves that the Circle Seven is a living, breathing thing because of the inspiration that she already had within her. Then basically she was able to compose, um and has been composing for quite some time, things that people can relate to and that is inspirational. And this is what our life, and this is how the ancients reflected. This is how the pyramids were built. This is how we had great civilizations, because what it was that um, our how can I say, reverence for Allah or the Creator or whatever name people choose to call, everything went towards displaying what the Creator wanted us to live, how the Creator wanted us to live, right? And
That's
this
right.
is what's missing in society. People are so superficial that they just, you know, they don't really look at the beauty of what Allah has given to us and has allowed us to do and to manifest it in many different creative ways, right? Um, so just to bring that point out, right?
Right.
Yeah, praise Allah.
Praise Allah. And that was a great point of clarity, Sheik. I like the fact that you brought that point out. And I think what you're hitting on, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying that the fact that we have our own talents, gifts, and abilities that are within us to create our own heaven or our own, make
That's
them
for
our own
sure.
future. I'm gonna say it like that.
Yeah, yeah, for
Say how
sure.
the
'Cause
prophet probably
you're
say.
gonna read that verse coming up.
Praise Allah.
Mm-hmm.
So just continue, right? And you can expound on it as I go on. So in verse 10 it says, now seek to seek heaven, excuse me, now cease to seek heaven in the sky. Just open up the windows of your hearts with an S, and like a flood of light, a heaven will come and bring a boundless joy. Then the toil will be no cruel task. The people were amazed and gathered close to hear this strange young master speak, imploring him to tell them more about the Father, God Allah, about the heaven that man can make on earth, about the boundless joy.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus spake a parable. He said, a certain man possessed a field. The soil was hard and poor. By constant toil, he scarcely could provide food to keep his family from want. One day, a miner who could see beneath the soil and passing on his way saw this poor man in his unfruitful field. He called the weary toiler and said, my brother, know you not just below the surface of your barren field, rich treasures lie concealed? You plow and sow and reap in a scanty way, and day by day you tread upon a mine of gold and precious stones. The wealth lies not upon the surface of the ground, but if you will dig away the rocky soil and delve deep into the earth, you will need no longer toil the soil for naught. The man believed, the miner surely knows, and I will find the treasures hidden in my field. And then he dug away the rocky soil, and deep down in the earth he found a mine of gold. You want to go, sheep?
Yeah. So right, the chapter is chapter 12, right? That we're coming from,
That's right.
and that number in itself, when you really get into the essence of it, there's something behind the number 12 or the numbers in general, right? And not only that, the title says Jesus teaches the common people at a spring and tells them how to obtain eternal happiness.
That's right.
So, what is it about Jesus? Because people, I've read different articles, and different articles try to equate the Moorish American Muslims and say that we have um, Christianity mixed in our teachings. No, we do
No,
not.
we don't.
Right? Jesus was not a Christian. It wasn't. I mean, you could do a little bit of investigation. You could go to the Holy Bible, Acts 11:26, and it says that Jesus' disciples were called Christians first, and you'll find out in Acts 11:26 that uh, Jesus had passed off of the scene a long time before his disciples were called Christians first, and that was Antioch, and we know that Antioch is in Rome. Okay,
That's right.
and this is not to take anything away from people who practice Christianity. I ain't taking no shots. I'm just
I ain't
speaking
making
mere truth.
mockery. That's right.
You understand? So when we talking about Jesus, we know and understand. Some people don't believe that the man existed. Some people do think he existed. But if he didn't exist, or if he did exist, and we're talking about Jesus, Jesus is a type of man. What do we mean by that? Saying that he's a type of man, he um his character, right? Whether he existed or didn't exist, his character or the energy that he displayed, it embodied, right, um something dealing with perfect humanity, divinity, right? These are the symbols of what Jesus demonstrated, and he was a model of strength when we read about him. And when you look at other teachings that he had, he said, the works that I should do, or I can do, all men shall be able to do, and even greater things. So that means that we, in studying any type of teachings, we should be able to uh, pick those things that are beneficial to our life and carry them out, right?
That's right.
So all is saying that he was unique. So you and I are also unique, but also we were common people at one time as well, because common was ordinary, normal. We were just going through life, not really even paying attention to I mean, just the basic thing, uh how many bones in your body, knowing that we have multiple bodies, knowing that we have a higher self and a lower self.
That's right.
So not knowing those things made us common people. But now that we know it, we still are somewhat common, but we're not the average common person. It makes us unique, right? Because we talk a certain way, we think a different way. um so when we're talking about Jesus, you know, we're talking about the teachings that he brought, and let's not get it twisted. He wasn't the first one or the last one to bring what he was teaching. Okay.
That's right.
So when you're talking about teaching, or when you says teachers, um, of course, we know and understand that a S was added to the word, and now we're talking. We Let's look at teach, right? um that's to be able to show, explain, and or give instructions in a professional way, and that's what's missing. That's why you see the condition not only of the world, but you see the condition of some people who are proclaiming that they are Moorish Americans. They haven't had an acknowledged sheikh, or an acknowledged, in other words, an acknowledged professional, to be able to instruct them in a way that they need to be instructed in order for them to carry the teachings out. And this is, like I said, I'm not taking no shots at nobody or whatever the case may be,
That's right.
but it's just being able to show the balance. And it's not saying that these people are bad people or whatever the case may be. However, what it is saying is that they got to, according to our teachings, you got to step your game up, just
Yeah,
like we got to step our game up, right?
that's right. That's
Um,
absolutely right. Go ahead.
so just that little tidbit, and when you're talking about the obtainment of eternal happiness, so that's happiness in this life, and if you will, the next,
That's right.
because we're talking about eternal happiness. And I mean, you can reflect on any ancient culture and see what they felt about eternal things or eternal happiness. So we can't just peruse over these words without really truly having a understanding, thinking on them and contemplating them and making them a part of our everyday existence, so to speak, bro.
That's right.
Praise Allah.
I think this is teacher Manjumbe. He said, well, let's go back to the comments because we do have some comments in here.
Okay.
Charles Brownell said, I love teaching in this chapter. It's very esoteric. I definitely agree. Grand Sheik is Lomax. Tammy Lomax Bay said, Islamism, hello, family. Heaven and hell is within us. That's
That's right.
absolutely right. And then we have teacher Manjumbe, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. I believe he says we are creators, and I say I believe because it says Eric Bay, but I'm more than sure this is Teacher Munjin Bay. He says we are creators, which within the inner spark, the divine essence or creative power within each individual, empowering them to be a creator in their own right. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. So I like what you said, Sheik. You said, and I'm thinking about the fact that, as we often say, there's the greatest room is the room for improvement.
That's right.
So, like you said, everything that you mentioned earlier, just about those who, should carefully examine the teachings of the prophet. It's not saying that, anybody's greater than someone else.
That's right.
But there's enough work for all to
For
do
all to do.
on themselves ultimately. Now, when I
Hmm.
look at this chapter, right, the prophet Noble Dry Ali, let's go back because I like the title. I like to focus specifically on the title. I'm gonna go back to the
Right.
title, like you said. So this says Jesus teaches the common people at a spring, tells them how to obtain eternal happiness. In one way that I look at this chapter, just like I often do in Sunday school, there
Mm.
are multiple lessons. The lessons of the prophet are multifaceted,
That's
but it's
right.
drawing our attention to two specific aspects. Because if you look at what many people call that hyphen or that dash or space between the two lessons, the first one, as you mentioned, he's teaching the common people at a spring, but he's also going to go into teaching them how to obtain eternal happiness. Now
That's
it
right.
says, in silent meditation, Jesus sat beside a flowing spring. It was a holy day, and many of the serving cast were near the place. So the question that comes to my mind, well, where was he? Where was he at geographically? Was he somewhere geographically, or is this an inner teaching? When you're dealing with people, just me looking at it,
Hmm.
can be synonymous with thoughts.
Hmm.
So he's sitting at a flowing spring within his own mind, looking at his thoughts, and he's contemplating on his thoughts on a holy day. Because when you're dealing with a servant cast or a thought process, thoughts are constantly working.
Yeah,
One of
they serve you, right?
Yeah, all the time.
Right.
Grand Sheik Robin Curley, he often says, how many times do we think about thinking? And he
Hmm.
challenged us one time in the temple. That's right, he was in India. That is true. Because when you're dealing with the caste system, we know and understand that the caste system, it derives from India, right? It derives from India. Now it says, and Jesus saw the hard drawn lines of toil on every brow and every hand. Now, one thing many people don't understand about the hand, the palms of the hand, in some cultures, people are able, and I'm not talking about palm reading and things of that nature, but the hand, the lines on your hand have a lot to do with past lives. It has a lot to do with your connection to the universe. It also has a lot to do with certain things that you have to pay up. And there's a word
Hmm.
that people often use, a word called karmas. But people just look at the lines on the hand or the indicators on the hand, and they just think, okay, these are just indicators on the hand. But it's so much more to that. It's so much more to it, especially when you're dealing with touch, especially when you're dealing with the power of healing,
Hmm.
and also when you're looking at the hand being likened to the mind as well.
Hmm.
And the brow, when the prophet Obadiah is saying that he saw the hard drawn lines of toil on every brow and every hand, he could be talking about the brow right here, but really he's talking about that word countenance. He's
Mhm.
looking at the countenance of people. Now, it's another part that you raised, Sheik.
Mhm.
We look at the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings, and we know that the Prophet is a universal prophet, but also we can find in other records, other holy books, where Prophet Jesus is also teaching the same lesson. Now, you made reference to the fact that the book of Acts and other different books in the Holy Bible makes reference to when certain things were laid out. But
Mhm.
if you go to the chapter of Luke, right? So if you
Mhm.
go to Luke 21, Jesus talks about the spiritual kingdom, right? And
Okay.
give me a second. I'm gonna just pull it up so everyone can see it because I want to make sure everybody can see this, because this is something that I think many people, not many people, I'm gonna say many, but I think at times it's overlooked, and as a result of it being overlooked, I don't really think that folks really pay attention to what's actually being said. So give me one
Mhm.
second. Give me 1 second. Just pulling up right now. All right, so everyone can see it. All right, here we go. And then I'm going to just do a little bit of expounding on that as well. All right, so right here, what we have coming up right here, this is Luke, right? And this is Luke 21:20. And it makes reference to the spiritual kingdom aspect, right? It
Mhm.
says, when he, and it's talking about Prophet Jesus, when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of Allah, and I'm paraphrasing, should come, he said to them and said, the kingdom of Allah cometh not with observation. So we often hear that the prophet says that, it's this is not an outward show demonstration. I'm
Mhm.
paraphrasing on that, right? But
Mhm.
he says, neither do they say, lo here, nor lo there, for behold, the kingdom of Allah is within you. And then he said unto his disciples, a day will come when ye shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you shall not see it. And they shall say to you, see here or see there, go not after them nor follow them. So going back to 21, even when he was teaching the common people, and even he was teaching his pupils, he was letting them know, no, when you're looking for the kingdom of heaven, don't be deceived by these people who come, in the name of the great universal creator Allah. Don't be deceived by them, but know and understand that when you're dealing with the kingdom of heaven is within you. And there's another another part that I want to share that we went over before, and this one actually blows it out just a little bit more, dealing with that kingdom of heaven. So just give me one second. So it says right here, it says, and this is breaking down what we see right there in Luke 21. It says the kingdom of, and I'm gonna say Allah, the kingdom of Allah. It says Jesus announced the coming of the promised kingdom of Allah and the future advent of the Comforter, right?
Mhm.
And we know about the Comforter. If you have a copy of the Great Book of the Resurrection, the Mo Man, the Grand Sheikh Timothy G. Dingalil, Hyphen, Noble Drew Ali, and Zara Time, he goes into it on reincarnation in the spirit of truth. And in there, he talks about the Comforter. Well, it says, and also in the Holy Bible as well, it makes mention of the Comforter. And then the Comforter's name is also Ahmed, which is also translated to Muhammad, which is one of the prophets that we give honors to: Jesus,
Mhm.
Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, Jonah, etc. It says, such an announcement could necessarily be addressed only to those who have been recipients of the promise, who derive their inspiration from them. In other words, and it says the Jews, but when you're dealing with the Jews, we can get into that as well, because we're not talking about the specific group of people that you see today, but we're talking about a much ancient people. It says, to Gentiles, such an announcement would have been meaningless. Jesus, therefore, never addressed himself to them. That's what it says. It says, the coming of the kingdom and the comforter was in no way foreign to the religious life of Israel, since the pious Jews, and talking about those Pharisees, concentrated their thoughts at least 3 times a day on the promise when they recited the Shione and Sharia, the 11th
Mhm.
petition, which contained a prayer dealing with the coming of the kingdom. And this is the part I really want to focus on, the part right there in blue. It says, Jesus never gave any definition of the kingdom, and it must be taken for granted that the interpretation of the kingdom was the same as that of his contemporaries. To the Jews, it implied that the setting up on earth of a new order of things in a new mode of life and a transformation of the world, beneficial not only to the righteous and the godly, but to all the children of Israel without discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
It was not deemed to be purely internal. I read that again. It was not deemed to be purely eternal and spiritual development. It also involved external and material exchange. So going back to what I stated earlier, our teachings, this is what I don't want to say separates, but this is what the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings, this is what I'm gonna say separates his teachings from many other schools of thought, because the Prophet Noble Drew Ali not only taught us from a esoteric point of view, but he also taught us esoterically. And when we go into other records, we can confirm ourselves to our records, and we can find the truth, which is but one, and with those records as well. It says the kingdom was first of all established on earth by the act of divine power, and it is essentially to be a gift of Allah, a material reality granted by divine providence to those who might prove themselves worthy of it. Underlying this hope was consequently the desire of a moral and ideal kingdom, and also the necessity of human effort. So that going back, the ideal kingdom that we all seek, as it mentions in chapter 12 in our Holy Quran, the Moorish Science of America, is three parts to it. The first part is the ideal kingdom is the kingdom of heaven, which you can create here on earth within the heart of your mind, but it comes through work. It comes through work on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a matter of necessity, because if you don't work towards creating your own heaven here on earth, then you're going to find yourself creating your own hell. The Prophet
Mm-hmm.
literally teaches us that man has the power to make and mar his own fortune. Is that right, Sheik?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or future? That's what it is, future. So it says the idea of necessity, of human effort, of individual repentance by good works. So a man or a woman, a brother or sister is known by their works, words, and deeds. A tree is known by the fruit it bears. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to go to a peach tree and look for pears because you're not going to find it. An exact observance of the law. The kingdom of Allah is foretold by Jesus. I'm in the last part right here. It says, was likewise for persons whose relations to Allah depended on their individual deserts. The only the good only were to be placed on the right hand of Allah, and those on the left hand were to be cursed everlasting fire, which Allah had prepared for the devils and the angels. And that could be paraphrased or found, not paraphrased, but found and confirmed in the Holy Quran of Mecca. It
Mm-hmm.
says, to Jesus, the kingdom of Allah was a reality of the future on earth. He never said, I bring you the kingdom. He merely expected it setting up.
Mm-hmm.
And the setting up of that kingdom is contingent upon the individual.
Right.
It's
Just like
contingent
your
upon the individual.
just like your house.
That's right.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You can't just go in your house or sometime I get super busy, right?
Hmm.
And I say, hold up, I gotta stop and make sure that everything is in order and the way that it's supposed to be, because if not, things will get out of hand. It's the same thing with your life, right? And people have made and this similar to what the Sadducees and the Pharisees was doing. They was demanding certain things of people, right?
That's right.
Um, and what they were demanding of them, they were demanding certain people couldn't go into the holies of holies because they had to be rich and things of this nature. Jesus levels off and say, hold up, man, this ain't just for the rich, this for everybody.
That's right.
Right? This for the common people, this for everybody, not just people who proclaiming to be righteous, uh just because you put on a turban and fez and you claiming that you got all the wisdom. No, you got to live it, right? And what happens is when people start carrying things like that, then people start becoming trapped in um a complicated doctrine or how can I say it? Dogma, so to speak,
Right.
right?
That's right.
And the Prophet Noble Ali gives us here. He comes and gives us permission to come out of that type of confinement, right? And he made it so simple for us to be able to not be trapped in a complicated system of performance based, right? Type of, because some people they think, oh, because I had this, that's a example of Allah blessing them. No, I
No,
mean
that's not. Yeah,
it it.
to a
I
degree,
mean
to a degree.
it's a degree, but I mean I can have houses, cars, and things of this nature, but it don't mean that I cater anything to my spiritual development,
That's
right?
right.
Um, so we find ourselves that we consistently push ourselves um past our limits in pursuit of um works than anything that's reasonable of ourselves. And then that's how another way we get trapped. As opposed to being satisfied exactly where we are and continue to work to get better with ourselves or
That's right.
become effective with ourselves. And this is what know thyself is all about, right? Is becoming effective with yourself. Now, what does that actually look like, right? Um, we got to become self-aware, right? Knowing what our strengths and our weaknesses are. Um, and to the degree where if we do have a weakness, we work on it, right?
Right.
Knowing our values and what we need, and not necessarily being able to cut off um what yeah we want certain things, but do we actually need it? Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Setting clear goals, right?
Right.
And practicing consistent self-care. Because I mean, you look around. I mean, not just in the Moorish Science Temple of America, but in various other places, people don't care for themselves like they should be, man.
That's right.
And that's
Islam.
that's also where in verse 1 it says in silent meditation. That's a part of self-care. Meditation is not just in the aspect of sitting still in one place. That's an aspect of it, but meditation comes in many different forms, so to speak. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So um we got to build a self-awareness and mindset to reflect honestly on where we are and what is it that we actually can do and what it is that we should be doing. um Developing a growth mindset,
that's
right?
right. That's my that's
um
my, that's my word right there.
Yeah, just like in the verse that is the theme for this show in chapter 12, verse 9, man, ain't no unity because in our minds we haven't placed it in our minds. And when I say our, I'm not talking about everyone, but there is no unity because some of us in our minds haven't made up in our minds that we would be unified. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Because we create our conditions. So
That's right.
once we change our minds, then we'll see what it is that we are seeking for because everything is right there. Just like in the Moorish literature, it says what seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added unto you.
And that's what Tisha Manjumbe said too, right there in
Yeah.
the comments. Right on time. And the thing is, she like you mentioned as well too.
Hmm.
That whole aspect of self care. It
Hmm.
takes me to verse 14 when the prophet says, "By constant toil, he scarcely can provide food to keep his family from want." People burn themselves out for jobs. They burn themselves out for material things. I
Hmm.
like nice things just like the next person.
Yeah, yeah, likewise.
But like you said earlier, the whole object has to be balanced. We
Hmm.
have to find balance between things. And when you have excess, and I'm not just talking about excessive want, but you have access within the thoughts of your mind that I gotta have this, I gotta have this, and you end up burning yourself out. You end up burning yourself from both sides of the candle, so to speak.
Hmm.
So people have to find balance.
Hmm.
They have to find balance in life. It was a point that you raised too, in regards to heaven and hell. And one thing that I found interesting when I was looking up that word hell, because I kept saying to myself, from the time I've been in the temple, you know, we've been taught how to go inside the Holy Bible, and as
Mhm.
well as other records. But I couldn't find anywhere per se where the word hell was actually mentioned. But what I did find, I found this word called Gehenna, right?
Mhm.
And the word Gehenna, when you read the book of Matthew 5:22, as well as Mark, I believe it's 9:43. Uh,
Mhm.
Jesus himself, he spoke in allegory, symbols, parables, but also he used metaphors, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And when you're dealing with the valley of Gehenna, right, or the valley of Hinnon, it's pronounced Gehenna, but it's pronounced Hinnon. It was a place outside of Jerusalem
Mhm.
where people were sending like their garbage, their landfill, their dumps, and things of that nature. And
Mhm.
what he did was he used that as a metaphor when he was teaching his disciples and those common people. He was
Mhm.
using it as a metaphor for a place of eternal punishment. So just me
Mhm.
thinking, because we're looking at, Jesus as being a master sage,
Mhm.
coming in the same spirit as Prophet Noble Dry Ali. If you're
Mhm.
throwing if the place that is outside of Jerusalem, which is the house of peace, you're throwing your trash, your garbage, etc. there. That means you're throwing away thoughts or things that really don't serve you any worth. Now going
Mhm.
back to chapter 12, and you're looking at this miner, the miner needed a guide. And that's one thing that I'm gonna say me personally. I
Mhm.
find that we always say always remain teachable. Some
Mhm.
people, they won't yield themselves and
Mm.
just say, I don't know. Or how did you come to that conclusion? Or where can I find this at? And not saying where can I find this at as a chance to say, oh, this is a gotcha moment, or I'm
Yeah.
trying to grandstand or something like that. But just, hey, I'm humbling myself to learn a specific lesson, right?
What
But
exactly what it says. Jesus teaches. They
that's right,
need to professionally instruct you on where they got
right.
certain information so you can gain clarity of mind, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Jesus, even though he spoke in parables and things of this nature, he did so because he wanted you to work, or the ancients in general spoke in that way because they want you to work to be able so you can gain appreciation for your own growth and development. Like it says, man knows not by being told. We
That's right.
can we could tell people all day long, but some things that have been told to us, we have to take that instruction and have some type of experience. And we do know and understand that sometimes experience is not the best teacher. It is a painful teacher.
That's right.
And sometimes I don't know for what reason. I know I had to experience some type of pain in order to learn a few lessons. I don't. I still ask myself why, but um, I don't know why it's set up like that, right? And you made an interesting point because I like to when you see words. The Hebrew word for hell is Sheol.
That's right.
So it means grave or the realm of the dead.
Hmm.
But oftentimes we automatically look at things or our loved ones that have passed on that realm, or, when they transition. But in all actuality, when you get rid of certain things in your life or you graduate, that is dead. That's the realm of the dead. You don't want to go back to that place. And it's also Sheol is a shadowy place for all humanity. Um, it says, "What is the lower self? It is the shadow." I mean, what is the lesson? It says, it says the lower self is
What does the lower self breed?
hatred, slander, delusions,
Murder,
murders,
slavery, sniffing,
everything
everything that harms.
that harms. But it talks of something. It makes reference to a shadow. Oh, what is
Go ahead.
it says? What is the devil? It is a shadow of our lower selves and will pass away.
That's right.
So, I mean, we got to look at it.
It's a shadow
Um,
of a high self.
oh yeah, okay. Shadow of the high self and will pass away.
Hmm.
Uh, all right.
I'm gonna
So
check him on, but
yeah. We just got to look at. It's not just dry and cut, and sometimes we just take it and we run with it. It's just, oh, that's it. That's what it mean. And no, you got to think. You got to think on it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, is the devil made in the image and act with the likeness of Allah?
Oh no, he is the
There you
shadow of our Lord self and will pass away.
That's right. It's a
Yeah,
shadow of thought. That's right. That's right.
right.
100 bet.
So
Yeah,
so when you look at it like that, you like, hold up, hell, we know and understand that heaven and hell, they states of mind.
that's right.
They
Right.
states of mind.
That's right. So what is the prophet trying to get us to think?
Right,
Think about, right? Like, come on,
right.
man. Right.
Because
Wow.
look, I'm here to say I ain't never passed away transitioning, been to a place where it got streets of gold, pearly gates.
Right.
And I also ain't never passed away and went and saw no red man with a
Yeah, man.
pitchfork and a tail.
Right.
So
Have it.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
we
Somebody.
gotta focus on what's here and what's now. You
Yeah.
and not saying that we know and understand that there is life beyond. That's when we understand when we transition,
That's right.
but fortunately we haven't um well, we haven't experienced that to be able to come back and tell people, oh, this is what it's like. Or if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And we're
Hmm.
not, again, we're not, when we laugh, we're not making mockery of anybody's thoughts. Exactly. We need to stop taking words at face value and dig deep for the meaning.
Right.
Absolutely. Sheikah Slomax, but that's absolutely right. I think that most people get spooked out because of that point in itself. That
Hmm.
when people present information, not even information, when they present information, whether it be in religious institutions or whatever you may go, wherever it may be or sit, the people who are disseminating this information, they don't challenge individuals enough to actually delve deep and to study the meaning behind words, behind symbols, behind thought patterns, and all different types of things of
Hmm.
that nature. They don't challenge them enough. So as a result of that, as you mentioned earlier, people have a misconception about heaven and hell. They think heaven and hell are places of meets and bounds. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he lets us know, no, these are conditions that you make, and you can have
Hmm.
it here on earth, or you can have it in the hereafter as well.
Hmm.
But it's all contingent based on your thought processes. So picking up and finishing on verse 22, it says, "Behold, a master comes and tells them of a hidden wealth that underneath the rocky soil of carnal things are treasures that no man can count." And that's a hit right there. As the Sheikh Javon Greendale used to say, the prophet says the rocky soul of carnal things. So again, we're talking about not taking words for face value. If you're dealing with rocky soil, most people minds, they go outside to their backyards, they might go down the road or whatever the case may be. But he's letting us know that your mind, my mind, and when I came into the Moorish side Temple of America, was hard as a rock. And I actually called you yesterday in regards to an experience I had. I said, Mo, remember we used to get into it when I first came into the temple because Mo, I'm trying to explain something to you, Mo. And I thought at that point in time I knew. And now that I've been in the temple for a short while, 11 years, my mind is starting to crystallize. And I had to say, Mo, I was in the same position that you were in. And praise Allah. You know what I'm
And
saying?
guess what?
And the thing about it is, I haven't just bumped my rocky head with you, but I've bumped it with several other people where I have to come back and hear,
Likewise.
you know what? I understand what that master was trying to teach me at that time.
But that's a blessing, Mo, because guess what? The same thing that I experienced with you, I'm more than sure that there there were several teachers who experienced the same thing with me. We all get a turn. You
Hmm.
you, you see what I'm saying? So she Prathiel consistently teaches us
That's right.
that you whatever you put your teacher through, that's what you are going to experience. You get what I'm saying? Like I remember he says it right, and that's what he teaches.
That's right.
And clearly, I'm thinking, just my thinking, that maybe Sheik Prathiel probably put his teacher through a couple of things. I don't know.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So,
Right.
but the blessing is, Mo, is that we are humble enough to say, wow, Look at that. We are able to learn something from that, and we are able to move forward.
Islam.
Um, and be better teachers. Also, when you're a teacher, you are a good student, and it's not. A lot of people think, um, you gotta read. Yeah, I mean, it would be
It's
good
okay.
for you to do so, but it's not. It's a You don't have to be a rocket scientist.
That's
Basically,
right.
a lot of this stuff is really good common sense, and when you start studying from and following the prophet's trend of thought, then you pick up on Allah, the way that Allah wants you to think.
That's
And
right.
we all think about things differently, and that's the point of having discussion, so that we can learn and exchange information for us to be able to grow or see where I might err in something. You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
Or
sir.
and I'm able to scrap whatever it is that, because I'm some of what I have might be good. Some of it I might have to throw away.
That's right.
But praise Allah.
That's
Hmm.
right. And I like what you say. You say you don't have to be a rocket scientist, but I want to camelback on that. But you do, or you should aspire to be a good Moorish scientist.
Yeah, that's right.
You should
Because
aspire to be a good Moorish scientist. And I like
you
also
use
like
good common sense.
good common sense. Good common sense. Like it's been times where you and I we sat down and done research and just investigated certain things, and there may be a missing piece that I found. There may be a missing piece that you found.
Hmm.
We bring it together, and like my daughter said a few weeks ago during Sunday school, to my daughter, she said that, and I'm talking about my daughter, Amina. At 8 years old, she said, when I look at the lessons of the prophet, she said that it appears to be a puzzle and that you have to put the pieces together in
Hmm.
order to get an understanding. She said that last week. So, giving her honors for that.
Hmm.
So,
Like when we talking about soil,
that's
right? That I do declare that there's a lesson in the Bible where that some it was a couple of men, they was given seeds,
right. Hmm.
and one did what he was supposed to do with the seeds. The other one, the seeds fell somewhere where it wasn't good. You understand? So
That's right. Baron sword. That's right.
yeah, everything is you can find a different aspect of a lesson to be able to bring it full circle, so to speak.
That's long. That's right. That's right. We all have a piece of that big puzzle. That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. It says in 23 to 25, in concluding, it says that and the heart is likened to the mind, the richest gems abound, that he who wills may open up the door and find them all. And the people said, make known to us the way that we may find the wealth that lies within the heart. And Jesus opened up the way. The toiler saw another side of life,
Side of life.
and toil became a joy. Go ahead, Shay.
Man. Uh, um, and this, I'm a sec, because like I said, I'm a hip hop fan, right?
Right.
So one day, I don't even know what happened. I was riding in my car, and like I don't listen to regular radio a lot, unless it's talk radio.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and then even when talk certain shows, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. So I listen to like a lot of old school, YouTube and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I was listening to, but it KRS-One, and it was a short 2 minute situation, right? And I'm like, I'm trying to remember. I never heard out of all of his albums that I had, I never heard this one, and it's like it stuck with me. But it's called, and for educational purposes, and then when people, if you decide to go and look it up, it's called the mind. The world is mind,
Hmm.
and not Mine, but Mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes into he says, whatever the brain doesn't have a word for, it can see. It can't see. I teach you this all the time. the world is mind, mind. And he goes on to say there were two patients lying in the hospital. They shared the same room, both fighting health obstacles. The first patient had his bed by the window. He could see outside and feel how the wind blew. The second patient, his bed was by the wall, no window. He couldn't see nothing at all. So, in summary, there was no sun to see. He was lying in the dark looking for recovery. He could see the other patients looking outside, and jealousy took over. His pride couldn't hide. He said to the patient by the window, "Hey, tell me what you see outside there today." The patient by the window started saying, "I see people walking, talking. I see children playing, cars going by with the booming systems." But the patient by the wall could only lay and listen, uh, burdened. He couldn't see it for himself. But the description he was given was improving his health every day. The patient by the window would say what he saw, and every day the patient by the wall wanted more. But what he wanted even more instead was to be in the patient by the window's bed. He wanted the same bed that the patient had. If he could just exchange beds, it would make him glad. So one day, the patient by the window was gone, and the patient by the wall knew something was wrong. But he still asked the nurse if he could be first to get the bed by the window. And what's worse, he did get the bed by the window, but the shock instead was a wall full of bricks and stone. No cars, no people, no scenery, no light, no flowers, no greenery at all. It was just like a brick wall fa- facing the window. He said to the nurse, "I was tricked, yo." The nurse said, "Trick, you'll be fine." And what really blew his mind is when the nurse said, "Cheer up, the previous patient, he was blind." He realized right at that time, you create your reality.
That's
The
right.
world is mine, right? And I'm saying, how many times we look at what other people have, and
Come on
you,
now,
you understand like
man.
what they doing, man. We really don't know what they doing,
That's right.
and
Or
especially
how
with
they
the
got, how
advent,
they attain, or how they attained to a
how
mass
they attempt,
force. You never know, man. Look,
man,
look at
and
society right now.
with the advent of social media,
Come on now.
man,
You seeing
come
these
on,
people going down, man. You
and
see,
look, artificial intelligence.
right,
My wife and I talk about that all the time, man.
right.
So that I thought that was a I mean, it's serious, but also it's funny, and I didn't do any justice like KRS-One. That's not my stuff,
What's the
but
name of the song, She?
it's called "The World Is Mind"
World is mine.
by
That might,
KRS-One. Yeah, it's only 2 minutes, but you know, uh, I found that's like one of my favorites. I could
world is
listen to that over and over again, along with my wife's music. So
That's right.
that's yeah, praise Allah.
That's right. Man. Praise Allah. So we've come to the conclusion of our segment. We've come to the conclusion. She, you got any closing words for our listening and viewing audience?
Man, I encourage those people who you know these people who flying the Marcus Garvey's banner,
Mm-hmm.
the red, black, and green flag. If you want to know something about the Moorish Science Temple of America, please find a, a temple of and ask questions before. I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but before you start going off making up, or
Making
coming
stuff
to
up.
conclusions of what it is that we're about, why don't you ask us what we are about? Um, Secondly, those who are proclaiming to be whatever they are, Moorish or otherwise, please do your due diligence and find a teacher where they will be able to teach you, because we don't want to mislead. It's already been so many people who have misled the people. um, so find and teach the good things in life, and not all this all these myths about. And when I say myths, um talking about all the separation, we know and understand what occurred during the time of the prophet,
That's right.
and somewhere after the prophet.
That's right.
But we can't change any of those things unless we do differently from what was done in the past.
Islam.
So that's just they my. Oh, also we have and when I say we, the temple, but spearheading it has been my wife, Sheikah Valance Bay,
Go ahead, man.
um, had started a plethora of workshops. The first workshop that we had was at the temple was financial literacy. That was the first workshop
Right.
where Truist Bank came out to talk about just some basic things, how we can be more financially aware of what it is that we can do. I mean, as individuals, as well as family, as well as temple.
That's right.
Because if I'm not financially stable, then how can I help the temple and therefore the community? Because let the truth be told, the temple is a community, and it is a community hub. Um, Not only that, she has taught health
She worked in conjunction with
segment.
my wife to create the candle workshop as well. They worked
Yeah,
in conjunction. My
yeah,
wife
that's the
did like
next. That was the next one, which was the
Mhm.
candle workshop,
Which was
which
a
was the
success,
blessing.
man. It was really good.
Yeah, we learned about different aspects and principles. We had a good time. Um, your wife did an excellent job with giving
That's
instruction on what we should do, how we should do it, um, and it's a skill that we can take, and we can do that as a family, to create more cohesion within your family. Uh, it was couples there. Actually, my wife, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law were actually there. So it was couples. It was like family type thing. So that is a success. We also have a leadership workshop. That's a leadership and assessment workshop that's coming up this month as well.
that's right.
So we have many more other workshops that will be coming up. But we're just doing what it takes to make a cohesive community, and we ask that other Moorish Americans, man, put that, like my favorite word, that goofy stuff to the side. You know
That's
what I
right,
mean?
man. You put your shoulder to the wind. You put your
That's right.
shoulder to the not even to the wind. Put your shoulder
To
to
the
your
wheel.
back. That's right, to the wheel.
Mhm.
Exactly. I'm just pulling a few things up because we have a few announcements coming from the temple.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Grand Shigas Lomax, but I see you in the chat. If you want to give um, the Moors the location here in Baltimore of the temple, you could do that as well. Um, I know we have Teacher Munjabay on here as well, and we did have um, the Grand Sheik Charles Brown there as well from Temple 27 in Atlanta as well. If he wanted to give the information in regards to the temple location in Atlanta, Georgia as well. The announcement that I have, and we have a great flyer. The flyer will be posted on our YouTube page. Excuse me, more still getting over it. Um, we're going to be celebrating the 114th celebration of the birthday or the Earth Day of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, which will be held on January the 4th, 2026. That's going to be at 3001 East Drive, Baltimore, Maryland, 21217,
Mhm.
at the center in Drew Hill Park. Um, the doors open at 1. There is a fee, a donation that is attached to it as well. All donations go towards keeping the temple functioning, as the sheik mentioned earlier, keeping it functioning. Nobody gets paid. If you're in Baltimore metropolitan area, the location of the temple, temple number 13, which is located at 1055 North Milton Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland 21205. Our meeting hours are at Fridays. My apologies, more. It's been a long day. Fridays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Fridays, which is the holy day for all Muslims, and 12 to 2, which is our Moorish Sunday School questions and answers. Come on out, bring your questions, your answers, and your elaborations. The Grand Sheikh's Lomax may also put the temple hours for our sister temple, which is Temple 13-1, which is located at 3222 Bel Air Road. Sunday school begins at 5 p.m. Sharp. Um, and then Holy Day, Friday Holy Day begins at 8 p.m. sharp. January the 8th celebration will be held at 3222 Bel Air Road as well on the day, Earth Day of the Prophet at 7 p.m. So come on out to both events. Come on out, in fellowship with the Moors, the Moorish Americans, your brothers and sisters, and, just come out and learn about the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And then also to give a shout out and put the time out for our other sister temple, which is 2900 Pressman Street, which functions under the leadership of my brother, Grand Sheik Eric Thompson Bay. Same hours as our hours, which is 8 to 10 on Fridays, 12 to 2 on Sundays. Um, Again, come on out to the Friday Holy Day meetings, as well as our more Sunday school and all of our other respective temples as well, located in North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, upstate New York, Troy, New York, to be exact, and Albany, New York as well, likewise, and as well as Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well. So, with that being said, again, thank you for tuning into the More Sense channel, and we're going to conclude Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Teacher Munjabay just put in Moorish Holy Temple of Science is 3113 3rd Avenue, Richmond, Virginia. The zip code is 23222. Friday 8 to 10, Sundays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's the hours, the location if you are in Richmond, Virginia as well. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Teacher Munjabay. So, with that being said, we are going to conclude our Friday Holy. I said Friday Holy Night. Man, you know where my mind is, Mo.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, yeah, we're going to conclude the Moorish Sense channel with the Moorish American prayer, and
Oh,
Sheik, you can lead us
oh
out.
yeah, yeah.
I have
One
announcement.
more
Go ahead.
one more thing.
Go ahead.
Because Teacher Munjin Bay sent me a blessing today, and it's not strange that we're doing a show today. Um, so this is the night that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali announces his prophethood
That's right.
in a prediction that a star and a crescent will appear in the sky, that he is Allah's prophet. And it was an article was published in the Chicago Daily Tribune Saturday, December the 19th, 1925, and the star and crescent did show in the sky. So
That's right.
praise Almighty God Allah for that. Just
Praise
wanted to
Allah.
put that out there
I
too.
received it too. So
Yeah,
again,
praise
thank you, Teacher Munja Bay. That blessing. Islam,
Islam,
Islam Mesm. Well, lead us out, Sheik.
Islam,
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 Islam.
Islam.
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation.
and my salvation.
By night
By night
and by day,
and by day,
through his holy prophet,
through his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islam.
Islam. Praise Allah.